Cinema Smokography, take one.
I like this. Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Cinema Smokography. Welcome to the Cinema Smokography Lounge. We've been putting this together for over a year, Isaac, wouldn't you say?
It feels like longer, to be honest with you.
I've been talking about this dream studio for years, and I finally put it together. It's not perfect just yet. Obviously, I want to put curtains or something right here. Maybe I never will, but who knows? Isaac, what am I talking about today?
We were talking about The Bad Batch, or mostly you.
Yes, I will be talking mostly about The Bad Batch. So Isaac, please share how you feel about this show so far.
Well, I've only watched 2.5 of the episodes. Well, technically I watched the third, but I kind of just left it as background noise. It's my fault, though. It's like, I like it, but it's just not for me. I wouldn't say it's not for me. It's the poor choice of words. It's like, I enjoy it, but it's like, it's too, I wouldn't say slow paced. Because like I love Star Wars and I love the Clone Wars, like,
yeah, of course,
all that stuff. But there's just something about this that is just like, I don't know. Like I get the overall conception of what it's about. It's about literally what happened when Order 66 hit from the other perspective of everything.
How'd you like that Kanan Jarrus came back?
But right, I saw that and I was like, oh shit, okay. But the whole thing in general though, like I liked it. The first episode was cool. It was a little longer than it should have needed to be, but I understand from why they did it. But like as a recap and all that other stuff, like I mean it's cool. I like the characters, you know, like they're cool. It's like I'll probably still continue to watch it. It just won't be, you know, I won't, you know, take it as, you know, like how you are right now.
Oh yeah,
you know,
I'm invested.
Like I'll still be.
You'll still be here, yeah.
I'll still be here, but I won't be as, you know, invested. Maybe I'll get my 2 cents in there when maybe I'll start to enjoy it more as I watch it. Because
remember, we got 16 episodes.
Exactly, so maybe I will be a little more into it as I watch, because it happens sometimes with some shows.
You know what? I had the same feeling about Rebels.
Yeah.
Because look how Rebels started.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's funny because I loved Rebels from the start to finish. So I guess it just happens. I guess it just depends on personal preference.
Yeah.
Because I loved every minute of it. And it's like, yeah, so maybe I will have the same effect you did with Rebels because it got better significantly as you watched it.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll happen the same thing with me. So I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to just throw it away and be like, oh, no, I'm not going to finish it. No, I'm going to finish it. Just, I'll gradually work my way in.
And we got a lot of crazy stuff in this episode in particular. It's like 2 different episodes at once.
Yeah, you could tell like there's 2 different stories going on.
Oh yeah, 100%. So we have the story with the Clone Force 99, right? And they get trapped. Dude, this was such a like Empire Strikes Back kind of moment where they get trapped.
Yeah.
And they have to fight this dragon that has that takes energy, right? And then you have Crosshair being kind of divided, and good soldiers follow orders with it. And we're seeing the recruitment of the Imperials instead of having, you know, clones, and, you know, Nala Se and everybody, the Prime Minister for Kamino being a little worried about what's going on, like what's going to happen. Grand Admiral Tarkin comes in. Well, he's Governor Tarkin right now. He's not Grand Admiral yet.
You still don't like Tarkin?
I love Tarkin. Tarkin is one of my favorite characters.
It's just like he's just a pompous asshole.
I know, it's great. You may fire when ready. So honestly, like this is such a great episode. I love it. You know, that's kind of like, if you look at Admiral Tarkin and Crosshair.
Yeah.
Because look at Crosshair, because he's kind of conflicted in this episode.
Yeah. Like,
you heard his background music, so you have like an idea. So, let me bounce this by you, because I hear this a lot, and I can see where they're getting it. That Admiral Tarkin and... No, he was never Grand Admiral, was he? He was just Admiral Tarkin.
I think it was just Admiral Tarkin.
I'm getting him confused with Thrawn. I just want to say Grand Admiral. So Thrawn, Tarkin is Emperor Palpatine in the series, and Crosshair is Darth Vader because he has a troubled past and he's following orders.
You gotta have the whole Palpatine Darth Vader effect, huh?
Right. You notice that, or is it just me?
I think it's just kind of weird. I mean, I can get where they're coming from here, where he's conflicted in general, because that's what he's kind of like our main protagonist and the antagonist type of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, maybe he'll change his ways as it gets to the end of the series, and he'll end up joining back to where he was at. Because I get it, because he's the one that's programmed, you know. Unlike the rest of them, where they're thinking for themselves, and they're like, but technically they are programmed to think for themselves.
But their mutations are fucking it up.
Exactly.
But in the episode, you see that Wrecker gets into this is kind of stupid too. The man who's basically bulletproof gets one lop on the head, and he's grabbing his head where the control chip is.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you like paid attention enough to that, but he's grabbing that, right? And they're all adjusting to having a child on board.
Yeah.
Right? So Wrecker is gonna eat Omega's food, and Omega's like, yeah, here. It's like, Wrecker, stop that.
Yeah.
So it's like they're trying to get adjusted to it, and obviously they're living in a ship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's all close quarters, and you have Echo and Tech.
Yeah.
Echo and Tech are kind of like my favorite two in the entire like show.
Yeah.
They're arguing between each other. It really does remind me of 3CPO and R2D2.
I guess it's like that little effect with like every character reminds you of somebody for the group effect.
Yeah, well, you know what? I was talking in my last video about this. Is that if you look at the crew of the Millennium Falcon and you look at the Bad Batch, like they are very similar. Tech is obviously pretty much like us embodied, like we know everything about the Clone Wars and everything, so he's kind of like, oh yeah, you didn't know this?
Yeah.
You know, Echo is R2 being able to use all the tech and uses a stop link whenever he needs to, right? Wrecker is obviously Chewbacca because he's big, powerful, and he's gonna knock everybody off.
Yeah.
Omega is Princess Leia because I think she might be like a program, well she is a program clone, right? But we might get like, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but she has some kind of mutation that only the Kaminoans know.
Yeah.
And then Hunter is a mix of Luke and Han.
Yeah, I can kind of see that.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? Like they have very, like it's not just their reminiscence, like you can see that very apparently, which is actually kind of cool, right? To have that kind of acknowledgement in there.
Well, technically, yeah.
Yeah, so that's
they're the first versions of them.
Mm-hmm. The original version before
the actual versions.
Exactly. But you get like
yeah,
from our perspective, it's them, but in chronological order, yeah, they're the first.
They're the first.
Yeah, so it's actually branding. It's kind of cool to see them.
Yeah.
Like this, and what I noticed about this episode in particular is like, it was very like reminiscent of what's going on because Tarkin has who was the other admiral who was in there? Does it say? Because I forgot his head. Rampart, yeah. Rampart's started the chain codes.
Yeah.
And then which we get further on in the series that we even see in The Mandalorian, how Mando had his chain code with everything.
Yeah.
Right? So the chain codes was his idea, and now he wants to get human recruits. Because Tarkin never liked clones either. And they were trying to cancel their contract with Kamino anyways.
Sounds like racists.
Oh yeah, the Empire were very Nazi, kind of driven. Like they only wanted human superiority.
It kind of reminds me of the whole Last Jedi, with the when they're in the meetup of the general, and they all look like Nazis.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Like that's what the Empire and the First Order kind of like. Because if you look at their perspective, they want to give less power to, non-humanoid, citizens of the Empire.
Yeah.
So it kind of drives that, and you can even see from the Stormtrooper point of view.
Yeah.
Right, because the Stormtrooper Corps, like we all hate Stormtroopers because they're the enemy, but you have to think about it at the same time. What's a good way to motivate a galaxy, or motivate a city or a state? You militarize them, create loyalty from them, and a lot of us, like even us, like a lot of us go into the military thinking like, oh, it's gonna pay for school. I'm gonna get a bed. I'm gonna get this, and you even say like the Empire gave us more than the Republic did.
Yeah.
Because the Republic relied on clones, so they didn't have an army. Obviously, other than
they're all disposable.
Exactly, except for the naval fleet that was already in place from the galaxy. But at the same time, most of their foot soldiers were clones.
Yeah.
Unless you look at Expanded Universe and how the general in The Force Awakens, Force Unleashed, not The Force Awakens. The Force Unleashed used his own militia instead of clones. That's why Order 66 was, committed. But that's what I'm saying. Like that's how you're seeing their perspective, and we just think of the Stormtroopers as, yeah, no, fuck you, you suck. But their reasons for being because, well, how am I supposed to get what I need in life? I'm gonna join the military.
Yeah.
So it actually works. So like this whole episode was, like I said, it is slow, but it was kind of like, it kind of needs to be.
Yeah, I can understand where that would come from.
Like you have to understand, like in a TV show, not every episode is gonna be action packed like we've been getting, because guess what? We have to create fucking so many different ways to go about it. Oh, you know what? We didn't even talk about what we're smoking, Isaac. But then again, when do we ever?
That's true. We always forget.
We got some new element in.
Yep.
Element air. I got this. We got horchata and we got Ultimate Green. It's actually fucking amazing green, and I gotta say, it is amazing.
It's not bad.
I love this flavor.
No, this one's not bad.
Yeah, that one's not good. That one's not good. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's a good flavor. I just think I need to practice it with a little bit more, and then I'll get more into it.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. So we're seeing this whole different perspective, and Crosshair is now in charge of this new recruitment process, and the title is called Replacements, and we're seeing the hostility clones have towards human recruits and how human recruits see the clones. It's like, why is he in charge?
Yeah. Kind of saw that in the first episode.
Right?
Where like, oh, look at these are the what's it called? What do they call the stormtroopers? What do they call them? Are the clones?
The clones?
What do they call
Regs?
Yeah,
They call them Regs.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what I mean? So there's a lot of stuff, like, you can see hostility throughout this whole thing, and now you're going to see a little bit more kind of progressing. They're having trained troops work with the clones and have clones train them to be better soldiers. Because the clones were always better because they were programmed to be soldiers, right? Now, they weren't trained. They were trained by birth.
The super soldiers.
Yeah, exactly. they really were. At the end of the day, they were a perfect fighting machine.
Yeah. And able to recondition at any moment in time.
Exactly. So what was cool about this is that we not only see the hostility, but we see like how their motives are. Because clones have one directive: complete the mission, right? And then when Saul Guerrero's forces were eliminated, and these regular trained troops had to kill civilians, which was the most gruesome I think we've seen in Star Wars in a very long time.
It's a little more dreadful than. It's more dreadful. You can tell the series is a little more dreadful. You get the more of the outside perspective of what really happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know. That's why it's TVPG violence.
I know, and it's great. I mean, I think like this was such a dark episode because not only did they shoot them, it's implied that they burnt the bodies. Like there was no trace that the Empire was there.
Yeah.
And even in Rebels, it was such a kid show. Like we never saw blasters, we never saw stormtroopers fall, we never saw a lightsaber hit, right? It was all implied and done like on the other side of the camera. But now this show is showing us way more.
I think it's only signs of things to come.
Yeah.
From the Star Wars, I feel like now they're gonna get more in depth. You know, because back then it was a little different. Before the Disney Plus era, before you could get away with it more because it's on your streaming service.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of stuff on there that's just like it's gonna get darker as we go, and I have a feeling this show is gonna be dark as shit, right? Because look at the first couple episodes, like they were bad. Like you see some real dark shit in here. But the best part about it, I think for me, is to see how. Oh, it's kind of like a similarity because look at the end of Crosshair's journey, right? He completed the mission, killed everybody, but he goes home to the bunks of his brothers, and he's kind of conflicted. He's like, "Fuck, I completed this, but I miss my brothers." And then on Hunter's side, they're all saying how they miss Crosshair, and how Omega's saying like, "Well, it's not his fault. He's programmed." Right? And Hunter and Omega went to go get the capacitor to get the ship running, but they didn't kill anyone. So they're a little bit more compassionate. And I think like that's the biggest jump between the two. That's why you see two different resolutions. One completely conflicted like Darth Vader, and one just happy to make it out alive and doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So it's going to be crazy. And now that, like I said, Wrecker grabbed his head right here, so we might even see Wrecker execute Order 66 next. And I think they're going to end up doing where they're going to find out where the chip is, because Echo and Tech's objective right now is to find out how to get the chips out. Right? So that's going to be a very interesting thing. And I think when Wrecker goes nuts, and when he starts getting like more, Crosshair style, he too is going to end up having to get that chip removed. Right? And then I want to know what Phase 3 is for the clones. We're getting a lot of crazy theories right now. Like, one, we might get Galen Merrick coming into the forefront. I wish that's the thing. I want Galen Merrick to be a clone of the Force Unleashed, and it's about to be lit. That's what I want.
That's what I heard too.
That's what I heard. Like, that's the thing. Or they may have Grogu's DNA, but because Dr. Pershing is from Kamino.
Yeah.
So we might even have Grogu in there, and that's how they get the Force DNA, the essence of the Force or whatever, and they're trying to clone Yoda, and he just calls Galen Merrick. That's the thing. So I don't know what's going on, but all I know is there's so much going on at the same time. Like this episode was very slow.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Like I like it.
It's the shortest episode too.
The other one's about 20 minutes long too.
The other one was like 38 minutes. So
Really?
This one was like 27 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, maybe it is. I didn't notice that. Like then again, I just kind of watched. So like it leaves me wanting more, but not enough to the point where I'm gonna be like, all right, I'm ready for the next episode. You're right. It's slow paced and it's just like kind of there. I'm not excited to see it.
And I'm usually never one to be like, oh, it's too slow, because I love slow paced shows, but I don't know, maybe I'm just having a hard time getting into it. Probably because I've already know a majority of what happens in a sense. Like that really like.
We all have an idea of what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like, oh, I've already heard this from, hearing the things from the background of what's going on at the same time, like, oh, it's just another perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the same cycle shit over and over again. But it's cool, like, I get it. But it's like, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. Because I don't hate it. I think it's awesome. Like, I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I want to keep watching it and see, if it gets better. Because, yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. So, like, when I hear you talk about it now, it makes me like, oh, maybe I'm going to give it more of a shot, So.
No, of course. And I think the major thing is they did something right with making the first episode, almost 2 hours. Because it draws us in so much.
Yeah.
Right? And then now they're just kind of slow pacing. Because let's face it, every episode could be an hour.
Yeah.
That's 16 whole hours. That's insane. That's 4 Snyder cuts. Right? Like, we can't all do that. But it is, like, I think they're doing it on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
As that they're doing it slow paced like this. Because let's face it, the next big thing's about to happen. Because we're supposed to get Fennec Shand coming back, too. Right? She's supposed to be in this series. And that's going to be fun to see. I don't know. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like, it's a great show. But we're going to be slow pacing everything. So, it's not like how they did the Clone Wars animated show, where it was supposed to be a pilot for the TV show. We're getting it very slowly. So I think the next couple episodes is about to start ramping up pretty far, because we're on episode 3. Up to episode 8, I think we're going to start getting a little bit more conflict, because the Crosshairs got to find the Bad Batch somehow. Right? Or they're going to end up crossing streams somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
They probably all got to go after Fennec Shand for something. I think they all become bounty hunters. Right? Like, what could a clone do?
That's true.
You know what I mean? What do clone troopers have to do now?
That's true.
They're about to be phased out. And you know what's also crazy is the fact that they're trying to get rid of the clone troopers. What if we get the Battlefront 2 2005 storyline with the 501st having to go against the Kamino Rebellion?
It's a possibility. Right? But is that stuff canon?
No.
But it could be.
It could be now.
It's true.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what if we get that? I think that might be a thing, and that the Bad Batch, well, maybe that's towards the end, and the Bad Batch are the ones that have to go after him. Because we already know that the Nala Se and the Kaminoans say, like, they're property of Kamino. So they got to come back.
Yeah.
So what if they're like, look, we have an idea, we want you to lead the charge on the rebellion against the Empire. And that's how they end the series.
I'm pretty sure this will get a second season, though. I feel
Oh, I have a feeling for sure. But I have a feeling that that's going to be a thing. Like, that storyline is going to become a thing. Is that they're going to have a rebellion. Because the clones are programmed to do what? Follow the Kaminoans.
Yeah.
Right? Because they can easily be reprogrammed.
Yeah.
And we know that Jango Fett's material, like, whatever they're using for his DNAs is fading. It's like making a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. And by the time it gets to like 17 copies of one thing, you're going to get something this thin. You can't tell, but I have my cat hair right here. But, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to end up being something like that.
For sure.
So, I'm excited to see that aspect of what they're going to do next. But...
yeah, I don't want to jump the gun either. Because every time I think something or have a theory, it ends up being the complete opposite.
now when it comes to the Power Broker, I was right!
Yeah.
But there was no Mephisto. Sad times.
Yeah.
But we're about to have like a whole bunch of stuff come out in the next couple months.
Yep. It's gonna be exciting.
So much for taking a break in May.
Hey, I told you.
I tried. I took a weekend off.
Yeah.
Took 1 weekend off and back to work. But other than that, that's all I have to really say right now. Yeah, I'm excited for the next episode, but we'll see what happens. Till next time, guys. Keep smoking.
Later.
Isaac, we made it to the end of the video. Guys, you made it to the end of the video. Congratulations. Well, like I said, that's all we have for this podcast. But if you like this podcast, be sure to like and subscribe on our new YouTube channel, Cinema Smoketography. To find me, this beautiful face, on Instagram and or Twitter, you're going to look under the _hookahologist. If you are a fan of the podcast and want to support us for 99 cents a day, you too can support Cinema Smoketography to keep the lights on in this place. Be sure to click the link in the description below. And let us know your thoughts of what we should review next. Because we got a lot of ideas for the podcast, and we would like your input as well of what you guys want to see. So be sure to leave a comment in the comment section below. If you're listening to us on Spotify, be sure to like, share, and get the word out because it's always a fun time. Until next time, guys. Keep smoking.
Cut.